Somebody who has plays Battlefield 3 has all the DLCs. So what's the why would he change? Why should he change? What's the big draw of Battlefield 4?
Hopefully, because we're trying really hard to make a great game. I mean, that's the short version. We're extremely proud with Battlefield 3, and we're extremely happy with how people are still playing it. And as over 2.9 people have kind of tied into the premium program, and many more bought expansion packs and just playing it on and on, we never have the intent to tell people to stop to play a game. But at the same time, we always, when we stop making one game, we look at what's new and cool, what can we do for the future. So that's how we started making Battlefield 4. And we see in between the expansion packs there's enormous interest for what will the next expansion pack be. So there's always enormous interest. So hopefully we will definitely not force people to shift, but hopefully people will like what they see and decide to try that.
So at this event you showed a lot of single player. There was a lot of focus on single player. Is this kind of a thing for you that you say you want to have more single players, more focus, better on everything? Because Battlefield has always been a multiplayer series, so I'm kind of disappointed that you didn't say anything to multiplayer. Can you say anything at all?
As I mentioned, I guess up on the stage, I talked briefly about multiplayer and kind of the new attack boats and kind of the amphibious assaults. But overall, I mean, multiplayer isn't really something that we talk at this point about. And the main thinking here, and I got the question previously, I think part of it is that I think you all know that we love and breed multiplayer, and we think that we are doing some really good stuff, and we long for talking about it. But at the same time, I think an area that we still feel that we have a lot to prove is within single player. And don't get me wrong, I think that Battlefield 3 did many things right with the single player campaign, in how we learned how to evolve storytelling and all of that. But the big thing this time around is we want to make a more unified product, a more Battlefield product, where single player as well have all of these elements that you kind of connect to a Battlefield game.
Mm-hmm. So we saw in the presentation that there were some social elements, and you also talked briefly about that. Can you explain that? Because that for me seems like a big immersion breaker if you have a single player game and there pops up a thing like your friend has this.
We're definitely aware of that you need to respect that we have different player types. So some people might want to have notifications on, and some people do not want to have it. So it's totally up to the player, and we need to be aware of that. So for me, it's providing an additional layer for those who are interested. But if you're in for the story that you and the game create together, then you should definitely have the option to focus on that.
So you will be able to turn it off?
Yes.
So let's talk boats. You mentioned these kind of amphibious assaults. So what kind of boats are there? What's cool about them, and how will that change the whole game?
What's not cool about boats? I can't really kind of go into the boats and all of that, since a lot of it will come later. But overall, I think that for a long time, Battlefield, or where we started, was land, sea and air. And for a long time we've been kind of lacking on the sea side, and that's what we want to remedy.
We also saw in the single player presentation that there's a new kind of feature where you can order your squad to attack some things and so. So how deep is this feature, and what can you do with it?
So overall, I mean, to be honest, in some areas we're still finding out, since we're still building the game. But as you saw clearly in the demo today, you could direct the fire of the squad, you could direct the fire of the helicopter, and overall, and this is a big part of bringing multiplayer elements into single player. We have no intention of building 1942's or Battlefield 2's bot war. We still want to tell a great story with even more than ever kind of connection to the individuals, digital actors. But we want to provide more freedom and kind of the pillars of Battlefield with more destruction, with more variety in ways of kind of player autonomy. You get to choose how you solve a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the level you saw, it was pretty straightforward, right? There were all these kind of script sequences and just one way to go and all this stuff. So I was pretty surprised when you said the game would be more open and more freedom because I didn't see it.
Overall, I would say, I mean, part of it is also when you don't get to play it yourself, but you get it demoed, you only get one version. So, for example, when you were crashing through the building, you still had a possibility of kind of control of taking out enemies. Overall, I mean, it's definitely so that this is the first mission of single player. So in the beginning, we are directing you very much to learn you how to walk and talk and run. And then there's definitely areas that are more open, and there will be areas that are less open, especially since we want to keep on relaying a good story. So the openness of the construction side, for example, and I would guess where we narrow it down and we want the extremely emotional moment of where you have to cut the leg of your friend or what remains of the leg is a moment that we want to get everyone to experience. But we worked a lot with how you ease the player into that, so it's always player initiated and that it doesn't feel like the hand of God kind of took you by the neck and threw you in there. So it's a fine balance, but overall we feel that we are striking a good balance between player autonomy and a well-told story.
So this whole approach with the squad and giving orders and stuff, that would be a really cool basis for a co-op campaign, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I guess many times, I mean, our thinking this time around is that we focus on single player, we focus on multiplayer, and we do it really well. We build a solid Battlefield product. And to be honest, many times when you play in multiplayer, there is a huge element of cooperative team play when you do play in multiplayer, since we have so many built-in systems that cater for the experiences that you usually have in co-op.
Speaking of the technical side of things, we saw now you have the Frostbite 3 engine. Can you go into detail about the technical aspects of it, like will it, especially on consoles, will it, which frame rate will it have, or which resolution? Can you say anything to that?
To be honest, we're still finding out a lot of these details as we're still building the game. Overall, we're building an engine that is highly scalable, so that we can keep on pushing the boundaries while scaling to whatever platform we want to put it on. And I think the demo today is a testament to that. And overall, the approach this time has been, even though we talk about the tech is there to support kind of the experience that we want to deliver. More like a magician come up with new tricks, but it's not about how you do it, but how it's perceived. So for us, it's delivered that human, dramatic, believable experience with these characters, and that you remove all the obstacles that didn't make you buy into what they told you. Same way with the bigger dynamic battlefield, with wind, forces, destruction. And of course, that we open it up. It is a more open experience, so that requires enemies to kind of react to players' autonomy, players' moves, where we move away from the totally scripted experience, or more scripted.
Okay, let's see here, the big question. Hard to decide. Okay. So, as you said, enemies will react differently. So, is this kind of a thing that the AI will do? Do you really focus on the AI, that it's more reactive and more intelligent? Because that was something that modern military shooters haven't done. Because AI was like never do good AI, make good graphics.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
In those days, we had kind of free roaming AI in the bot wars. But then with Battlefield 3, it became more and more scripted. But this time around, since we want to allow you the freedom, for example, in this area, we even talked about when we were to demo this to show different routes, almost, play up to a certain point, rewind, now do this, but we prefer to not show a movie and show live code instead. So yes, the AI has been totally rewritten to adapt to your movement. And we worked with archetypes and all of these things that should be able to allow us to cater for more depth, richer experience, more choice from your side on how to adapt to the situation based on enemy types and so on.
Just final. So which platforms will come out and when will it come out again?
So as we mentioned here today, I mean it's coming out this fall. What we're talking about here is PC, Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3.
So no PS4?
That's not what we talk about today. The key thing here is the scalable engine, which is a beautiful tool that can scale to basically anything.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.